everybody somebody. My name is Robertson and I'll be your host. Today's topic will be on overcoming incarceration, physically, mentally, and also spiritually. In the United States today, there's over 2.3 million people incarcerated. 77% of that are repeat offenders. 35% of that are people who's been arrested 10 or more times. Out of all that statistic, there's a couple people that comes out shining. My guest today, ARTIE WRIGHT, is one of those brothers. This brother right here shines a light on a lot of people just because of what he's been through and how he is today. ARTIE, how you doing?
Hey, my brother.
Welcome to the show.
Man, thank you. A blessing to you and Soul Building. And I was listening to the statistics that you gave, and it tore me up. This is real talk. My story is like a lot of people from where I'm from. I'm originally from Harlem, St. Nick Projects, 127th Street. And I grew up watching the drug dealers. Back then, there was the drug dealers with the big cars, heroin dealers. And I come from a family of 5. And I was always the kid that wanted to be like them.
Like with the pimps and
Yeah, I
the big
wanted to be with
Cadillacs
the
and
big
stuff
car.
like that. Right.
My sisters would come home, they would go to school, moms would tell them, oh, get upstairs. But I was the one that would never listen. You know, my mom's, boy, you don't listen. And I started off watching people. Dude was like, yo, shorty, you want to watch this? And watch the, the stashes. And I was 10 years old then, 10, 11, 12. And that was the beginning of my criminal history, watching people sell dope, the old timers sell dope, getting money. Then I led one thing leads to the other. I'm touting, I'm bringing heads, bringing customers, and then you always had to, I can't mention nobody's names, but the boss was like, yo, you ready, and all that. Make a long story short, caught my first bid, 1975, drug sale observation.
So how long, so you said first bid was 1975?
1975.
So when actually did you start? You said at 10.
At 10.
You know, I don't want to tell your age or nothing like that.
Yeah, but at 10, 6 years later,
okay.
I caught my first bid, Kaksaki. That's when they had zip bids.
Right.
I had a zip 18 months. And instead of it teaching me something and being afraid, it was like, yo, this is nothing. I can do this. Had a little girl. Moms were still looking out then, boom. But it didn't teach me nothing, and then it set in. Make a long story short, caught another bid, beat that. And then I caught a big bid. I caught a 20 to life sentence.
20 to life?
20 to life for the sale of narcotics and conspiracy to commit murder. And and when the judge sentenced me, we went to trial, we blew. And he said, and this is real, what I'm telling you, this is real talk.
Right.
When the judge says, when it came to me and I sentenced Mr. Red to 20 to life, blah, 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 I said, oh, how I'm gonna do that? I'm going, what? 20 to what? And that's my word, you know what he said?
What did he say?
I don't know how you gonna do it, Mr. Wright, but you gonna do it. When I caught my 20 to life sentence, I ended up doing 25 years in the penitentiary.
25 years?
Yeah, I did 25 straight years. Parole board, I did 20, got hit twice with 2, and then got hit again with 1, and then they finally let me go. But I'm moving ahead of myself.
Okay.
In prison, when I got my, I had 2 children. One was 3, one was 5. When I left the streets, they're adults, and I have 2 beautiful grandchildren, 3 beautiful grandchildren. So I got into the same thing I was doing in the street. I was selling drugs. Oftentimes, there's more drugs in prison than there is in the street.
You were selling drugs up in the prison?
Yeah, I was
also?
selling drugs in prison. And life is so strange. I sold some heroin to somebody. They didn't pay. And I end up doing something to them, end up getting 2 years in the box, SHU, 23 hours lock-in. And this was the first time in my life where I had to really be with myself. And then it hit me. One day I was brushing my teeth and I said, what is wrong with you? You're in prison, You put yourself in prison, in a prison, for the same acts that you committed as a free man. What is wrong with you?
I know that must have hit you hard.
And it boom, like, it was a reality. He said, is this where you want to spend the rest of your life?
That was your wake-up call.
That was my wake-up call. That was like, that was the home run. Okay. That was the one, because I realized that, man, I was just destroying myself. I'm in prison. And now I'm in prison, in the box, 23-hour lock-in for the same exact.
So you're in prison for doing the same thing.
Exact thing that I did in the street.
And you know something? I'll be honest with you. Somebody else could have told me the same thing. I would have never thought about it the way you just put it.
Yeah.
You're in prison for being
in prison
doing the same thing.
Exact thing.
You know, there was a while ago, let's say towards in the 80s, when I couldn't understand a lot of these young folks used to wear as a badge, I just came from Rikers Island.
Yeah.
I'm from C-76.
Yeah.
I know when I was growing up, if you got caught in jail,
yeah.
When you came out, you were a little angel. You didn't tell nobody nothing.
Yeah.
But these kids were wearing it as a badge of pride.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't understand how it would make you feel bigger. If you're coming to me and say you've been in C-76, you've been in Rikers 2 times, 3 times or whatnot, I'm staying away from you because you got the disease that you get caught.
Yeah.
You know, back in the days it was like, you got to step up your game.
Yeah. It wasn't about getting caught.
It wasn't about, but these kids nowadays it's like.
It's about, listen.
You know?
Yeah.
And see, that now if they would have thought like you thought, I'm in jail for doing the same thing, they might feel differently. And see, that's one thing I think we both are responsible for, our generation missed.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Because like I said, when I was growing up, the teenagers or the brothers who were doing their things, when I would look at them and make sure we did the right thing. Okay, we were a blind eye to a lot of these brothers and sisters out here. Now, you know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Look at it now.
I tell a lot of people that, and it hits them like you. A lot of men who commit crime, and I'm talking about crime for profit, robberies, murder, burglary, drugs, really don't like themselves. This is a fact. Mm-hmm. And I was one of them dudes, I thought I was very insecure, so I had a lot of people around me. I had a lot of money, and I was one of these people that you had to get a haircut. Oh, somebody had to tell me I looked good. Somebody had to tell me I was,
So you were looking
so I could feel good about myself. When I was in the box for them 2 years, this is the first time I had to look myself in the mirror.
Do me a favor. Yeah. For these young brothers who might be listening, describe, what's the box?
SHU, Special Housing Unit, for men who do things and break the rules so severely in general population that they have to be separated. In my case, I stabbed, somebody, I sold somebody some dope. They didn't pay me. I stabbed them 3 times. Same type of act I committed in the street was I took a life in the street for somebody that didn't pay me for drugs. Crazy, insanity. But SHU is horrible, but it can be a for me, and this is not for all men and all women, it can be an experience. It can be for me, it was a learning. I can't speak for them. It made me look at who I was then, who I was before, but more importantly, who I wanted to be. Okay. I was under the impression that I loved myself, but I didn't. And I realize now, when you love yourself, you do not do things to hurt yourself. Intentionally. You may do things that hurt yourself that happen inadvertently. But when you do things to intentionally know that the outcome can hurt yourself, you can't love yourself.
You know something, I could identify with you so much on that point. After a loss, I had 2 deep losses in my life, okay? And for a while there, I didn't like myself, I didn't love myself, but I was doing all these things to destroy myself. But it wasn't until somebody told me one time, you know what you do? You know what you need to do, Will? I said, what? said, stand in the mirror every morning, look yourself straight in the eye, and said, I love you. And he said, to the day when you say that, you'll be able to really like yourself, then you'll start changing.
Yeah,
You know something, my brother? I used to do that every morning, every night, look in the mirror. It took me 9 months to look myself in the mirror one day and say, Will, I love you.
There you go.
And tears started rolling down my eyes. Tears started rolling down my eyes.
Been there.
So I could identify
I've been there.
what you were talking about like yourself.
Wow, now you got me tongue-tied. This usually doesn't. I've been there where it came apart, where I started to really like Artie Wright. And I began to love myself after my mother passed away. My mother passed away while I was in prison. And that tore me up, you know, the guilt, losing your mother while you were in prison, not being there for her. But I had changed, so.
Was she able to see the change before you passed?
She was able to see a lot of the changes that occurred in my life during the 20 years. She passed like in the 17th year of my sentence, you know? So, a parole board hit me 3 times, 2, and then 1. Ended up doing 25. Came home, went to a shelter right here, Wards Island, hard, 6 months. But I said, man, you know what? I was a taker. See, men like me, I helped destroy society. And I'm not gonna blame my environment because I grew up in Harlem, but my brothers and sisters grew up in Harlem and they never committed a crime in their day. I had a great mother. I didn't know my father, but I had a great mother. You understand?
So in other words, thank you for saying that. You're not playing the blame game
No,
as we do.
No, I'm not blaming the white man. I'm not blaming my environment. I place whatever happened to my life, good, bad, and indifferent, I place squarely on my shoulders.
And see, that's another reason why I would say the name of the show is Incarcerated, physically and also mentally. Because just because I grew up in this neighborhood, just because such and such was on this block don't mean I had to be a part of that, you know? Some people, you don't have to be a prisoner of your environment. It's up to you.
There you go.
You know?
And I'm gonna keep it real, like the little young brother say. I'm gonna keep it funky or keep it 100. I at one time was, yo, society, man, boom, white man, this, that. I was on that kick, you know. But then, you know, my mama said, well, you know, that's cute, you know. But you had 4 brothers, you had 2 brothers and 3 sisters, and none of them never committed a crime a day in their life. So they came from the same place you go. And things like that, she would throw little verbs. And then as I start reading more into myself and getting to know more of myself and starting to become a man to take responsibilities for my actions, I got rid of that thought. And for those young brothers and sisters who keep that thought, hopefully one day you'll realize if you don't, you're gonna do the hardest, not only bid, but your life is gonna be hard. You can't place responsibility for your actions on your shoulders and you continue to place them on somebody else's shoulders, that burden, because you don't get to know yourself. But to make a long story short, came home, was hard, went to a shelter. I never thought I would go to a shelter. I was a baller, man. I was a dude that was getting, you know, I was getting it. I was getting it. So for me to go to a shelter was like, yo, but again, God, I needed to do that. I needed to see what a shelter was. Make a long story short, man, I have my own apartment. I had a beautiful lady over there. I got my KSAC. I'm a drug counselor. I can't mention where I work. I have 2 jobs, you know. I have a beautiful apartment. I have a cat.
You got a cat.
I have a life. Me and my
never be a cat.
Big boy.
Big boy.
Me and my girl yesterday, and she's sitting right there. Her name is Sasha, pretty little girl. We went fish. I fish. I caught a 22-inch striper yesterday, about this big. We was on Glen Island, some place she took me. We traveled, because it's still, I've been home 5 years.
So to nowadays you live life.
I'm living life.
Let me say something about you. When I first met you, I saw the animation and whatnot. I said, okay, this brother's from around the way. He's from the streets. But then, one thing I saw about you was your smile.
Yeah, thank you, my brother.
Your smile was such a genuine smile. You know, you didn't pass judgment or nothing on nobody. Your smile was a welcome smile. And then I said, wow. Then I started sitting back and watching and observing you. Let me tell you something. I truly believe in leading by example. My brother,
Hey, listen.
you set an example for many people, okay? I could see you're old school, like you just described, you're OG, but we could change. You see, even though you're OG with all that, but still you're incarcerated in here.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to let go.
And,
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be behind bars to be incarcerated. It doesn't have to be, lots of times we have to let go. We are our own worst
enemies.
But let me tell you, for instance, there's a brother who was supposed to be here today too. Due to conflicting schedules, he couldn't make it. His brother's name is Randy Kirsten. He wrote this book, Changing Your Game Plan. Okay, and the bottom of the game plan, how to use incarceration as a stepping stone for success. You might as well wrote this book because that's you right here, man.
Well,
you know?
Speaking of that, I've written 2 books right now. One, it's not my life, but it is my life, but it's a mishmash of other people. See, because also in prison, you meet some beautiful human beings that I met a father figure that anyway, I can't mention his name. He just come home. He was home 36 years. I mean, pardon me. He just come home after doing 36 years. He's 90 years old. I think me and my girl, we saw him Saturday or last week, and he was like my father. I never had a father, but in prison, I got to have an older black man to give me, not necessarily the father love, but a man to teach me.
Give you guidance.
Guidance, you know, so in prison, so I wrote a book, and it's a mishmash of different but different personalities I meet. You know what I'm saying? Then I wrote another thriller. It's called Seal with a Kiss. It's great. You're gonna see it. But I truly believe, man, that you can't, for us, for men in prison, men and women, because we forget women. You get a lot of women. For the men and women who come home after doing a lot of time or doing some time, we have to let go of certain ideologies, of certain beliefs and certain behaviors. For us to have a chance, I was on life parole. They took me off of life parole 4 years ago. Well, no, 2 years ago.
What was the reason for that?
Because I got my job, I got my own apartment.
Ahead,
you know what I'm saying?
Keep talking.
I'm going to college. I was going for my master's degree.
That's that smile I'm talking about.
And that's how you get.
That's that smile I'm talking about.
And she was like, you never missed a curfew. You never, every time I came, you was here. She says, man, you come home. Let me keep it real. I got an SSI. I don't need it. The doctor said I got a bullet in my back. She said, you didn't have to work because one of my conditions was seek and maintain employment.
Right.
But once I got the SSI, Albany rescinded that because the doctor said, but I want to work. I want to work. I want my own. Having a check is cool.
It's not the only thing you want to work. This is one thing I observed about you. You want to give back.
I want to give back, and I think that it's a social, and again, I can't speak. I think for men like us that we have, and maybe somebody's listening is going to be, I think I have, no, I can't, I'm going to keep it on the eye because I tell my clients who I work with, always keep it on the eye. I think that I have a social responsibility.
More than a moral responsibility?
More than a moral responsibility. I think that I've taken so much from society. I've helped the things that I've done in society in regards to selling heroin and where I come from. I think that I have a social responsibility now that I have my mind focused on doing, I don't like to use the right way, but living life differently. I'm not even talking about morals because morals pass judgments and aspersions. So I try to stay away from things that's moral because I find that what's moral for somebody, for A, may not be moral. And I think there's some universal truths, but I stay away from the word moral. But I know me that I have a responsibility to give back because I've taken so much from society. It is me to give back. My girl told me one day, she said, damn, you know, you came home, you doing, why? After all that time, you can lay up and get it. And I said, babe, you know, you're right, I can. And there's some days I don't want to go to work. Some days I want to go fishing. But I owe it to some kid, some young man, or young woman, because I have women as clients. I owe it to them that if I can give you some kernel, something so like the mustard seed, if you...
What do you think you saying? You say you owe them. Do you owe them?
I
do
owe...
you really owe them?
Because they're part of society. I owe them that.
Okay.
Whether they take it, I owe them to give them what I got. Whether they take it or not, that's them. But I won't feel right until, you know, I took a life, so you'll never, you know what I'm saying? But I won't feel I helped take a life, you know, we won't go there.
Okay, let's do that.
But I won't feel right until there's gonna come a time where I say, well, I think I'm good. And that time hasn't come yet. And again, it's not a moral responsibility. I don't put morality on nobody. But socially, I've done a lot to destroy society. So I think I owe society that now, that I can give back. And that's what I'm, you know, that's what I'm about. That's what you're about. That's what most brothers who can come out here and live. When I came home, I didn't know what a Metro card was. I remember I was in the bathroom and I'm looking for this. I'm looking for the thing. And, you know, I'm looking for a lever to press the toilet.
Right.
And somebody said to me, a dude said, oh, you must have been away a long time. I said, what? You know, I got that prison. Just,
Yeah,
what? What's up? What's up? Nah, my brother. There's no, you looking for
The handle.
Yeah, there's no handle. All you got to do is this. I feel so, you know, because I gave myself away. I was easy enough.
So that you catching up.
Yeah, and I had to apologize. I said, listen, he said, don't worry about it. You was in jail. You must have been in jail a long time because I still had that jail thing in me. But, you know, I got over that, you know, and I did something, man, that I think a lot of men should do. Which, you know, I still have some of that little jail stuff in me, but it doesn't come out that way. The dude that, I told you I had 2 children when I left the street.
Right.
And their mother moved on. And one day, she must have told him something about, oh, yo, man. So when I would come see you know, when I came home, you know, my grandchildren was at their mother's house, he would always run in the room. Like, I'm saying, yo, what's up with homeboy? So one day I knocked on the door. I said, yo. He was like, yo. I said, listen, slow down, playboy. I stuck my hand. I said, I just want to thank you. He was like, man, you raised my kids. I need to thank you for that.
Something that you couldn't do.
You did something, man. I didn't have the courage to do. It take a lot of courage to stay there and raise them kids. I wanted to sell dope. I'm a dope dealer. I love her. I love them kids. I sell dope, son. All right, that's what I do. Let me shake your hand, man, because you raised my kids. No, you're not their biological father, but you was their dad. I'm just trying to learn how to be a dad.
That's beautiful, Dad.
And he was like, and I hugged him. He was like, oh, yo, nah, I got you. I said, man, you did right by my kids, man. My son right now, he's in the Air Force. My daughter's a registered nurse. Wow. 2 beautiful grandchildren. You know, I'm selling dope and sending them money through the disbursement forms, but that ain't nothing. He was there at my daughter's graduation. He was there. He took my son in the Army recruit. I didn't do that. So I had to thank him. And a lot of times we come home.
How did it make you feel?
It took weight off my shoulders. It made me feel good because I'm like, this is the right thing to do. I have to do this. Okay. You know, because I look at my children. I'm like, you know, boom. And now I got grandchildren. And my daughter was supposed to be, I don't know what happened. But anyway, God gave me a chance to be a father through my... Let me tell you something. This real. I don't want to take up your whole shit, but...
Well, go ahead, man.
And I think a lot of prisoners go through this. A lot of ex-convicts, whatever you call it. I was playing with my granddaughter one day. And my daughter was looking at me like, I'm like crazy. So I'm like, my granddaughter, I'm saying, yo, babe, what's up? She said, nah, I was just looking at you, how you interact with her. That's what I missed.
Wow.
I missed that. She said, listen, I ain't going to give you the guilt thing and none of that, because what it was. But it just hit me. This is what I was supposed to get from you. And sometimes I'm still angry at you. And I said, yo, baby, you have every right to be angry, you know? And we left it at that, but it was just real talk. And those of us who are lucky when we come home after we done did time and our children, those of us that God bless us with these grands, you know, we get that second chance. I guess God, I don't know. God has been good to me, man. You know, but I did something. I never made prison my home.
Okay.
It was just where I got my mail. See, this is where I get, you know, this is not my home. This is just a place right now. Some people make prison their home. When you make prison your home, that means that this is where you live at.
That's it.
That's it. I never made, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, none of that. Because I got my faults, know it. But I was able to, and my mother, like, don't make this your home. And she said, you know, my mother, after a while, she couldn't come up. My mother she might have came up 3 times the whole bid. You know, she got tired of that the first bid, 75. I ain't coming there, you a man, you sell dope, you a dope dealer, you should have a girl come up see you. But she used to write me long letters. Son, don't make that your home. It's just a place where you get mail from. It's the difference.
That stuck with you.
And that stuck with me, man. And it was times where, you know, yo, this my house. And I never said that stuff, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be here forever. But if I wouldn't have went to the box, I probably would have never came home because I was making it.
In jail.
I was making it in jail, you know. In prison, mind you.
Prison.
Rikers Island is jail. Upstate is prison. Two
Say
different.
it one more time, please.
Rikers Island is jail.
Okay.
Prison is upstate.
In other words, the big difference
Yes,
between
it's
the two.
between night and day. They say, oh, these kids, they come home with their pants on. When they walk with their pants down, they got that from prison? No. They got that maybe from jail. Because up north, you ain't walking around with your pants on. That's promoting homosexuality.
Right.
The white police women, that's promoting a whole bunch of stuff that them Caucasian officers are not playing. They don't play that. You walk around with your pants. And then at the other side is you got a lot of men who are into certain sexual proclivities, and you walk around with you saying this is what I want. So they don't play that. So for any young person, take it from a person that just 25 years in the penitentiary, that did not come from the penitentiary. Walking with your pants down and showing, you know, your buttocks, that's not a penitentiary thing.
That came from jail.
It may have came from Rikers Island. I don't know. But jail, and that's what we don't even understand. We got to teach you. Jail and prison is 2 different things.
Right.
They're 2 different. You can't even. There's no even comparison. The only thing they got, the only similarity is bars. Other than that, the mentality, the modality is different.
My brother, are you right?
Hey, my brother, listen.
I appreciate you
love
so much, man.
Can I just say thank you to my girl for being with me today? Thank you, man.
Okay.
Listen, man, thank you, man. This thing you doing here, it's a good thing, man. We need, and it's not about black and white. I mean, I'm black, I love black, but it's about peoples, man. This thing you doing, man, this with you, the brother here, this is a beautiful thing, man. And I believe that you help people, you get blessings, man. And I just want to thank you, man, from the bottom of my heart, man, for giving me a forum and a chance to be part of this.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Robertson. This is Everybody Somebody. We've just had a guest, Artie Wright. And like you said, everybody is somebody. You know what I'm saying? And we